which will win at the end of the day.
Transfer, or what Nigerians, the number of Nigerians are asking for is that the elections be made to be seen to be credible, not just from the perspective of the lawmakers, but from the perspective of the generality of Nigerians. But we'll talk about that in detail much later. We're very, very welcome to Breakfast Central. Thank you for joining us and starting today with us. We're streaming live at News Central TV live on YouTube, and your thoughts, as always, matters. We love to read from you. So please do not hesitate to drop your comments, your contributions, your objections are very welcome as well. My name is Olive Emodi, and you're welcome to Breakfast Central.
And I'm Benga Borough. Welcome to Breakfast Central.
And I'm Johansson. Welcome to Breakfast Central. Without further ado, let's set the ball in motion and let's get the game started. We're going to start off first, no doubt, with the major and the biggest story. That story, which is what Benga started with, the guest we had yesterday. It's the most talked about story in the land. It's got to do with electronic transmission or electronic transfer. Many have said it's like transfer wire. We do not understand where we are going.
I think regardless of transmission or transfer, the most important thing that is being asked for is in real time. If you want to transmit or you want to transfer in real time,
then it shouldn't also be discretionary. It should be mandated.
Yes, so that it's punitive.
When it's discretionary, you leave room for lacuna, like what happened in 2022.
And that was a very key determining factor, you know, the fact that we couldn't have the transmission from BVAS to IREV in real time. But yesterday, the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party at the time, who's now with the ADC, Peter Obi, on Monday joined protesters to the National Assembly in Abuja to oppose the Senate's decision on the electronic transmission of election results. The protest tagged Occupy National Assembly was organized by Nigerian youths, pro-democracy activists and civil society groups who are demanding that lawmakers reverse their position on the electronic transmission clause in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. We have a video of Peter Obi with the protesters. Let's take a look. When we come back, we'll look at what Nigerians are saying, but we'd like to start from YouTube. So head to YouTube to drop your comments.
We are just, you can see the demand. You see the demand. All we are doing is a peaceful process to demand the right things be done. Our country cannot continue this way, where we have become negative in everything. We must now do the right thing. And that right is that small countries of the world are trying to do things right. We saw how even Ghana had to recall the High Commissioner because of he did the wrong thing during primary. And then the giant of Africa is the one that wants to do things wrongly. What is wrong is just a simple process of transmitting votes properly. Simple transmission. It's not a difficult thing. Allow the elections to go through the normal process. Whoever wins will accept. So why are you bringing us the confusion?
It was about free and fair election. Do we have Democrats who are afraid of peaceful elections in Nigeria? Nigerians, if your votes do not count, we are not moving forward. 2027, our vote must. But the most important thing is whether they pass it or not. We must mobilize against 2027. Tomorrow, National Assembly is reconvening and they will meet us here. Until the right thing is done. Yes. Thank you, our leaders who came to show solidarity with us, and we say, Aluta.
And that is the video of His Excellency Peter Obi joining the young people to protest. They are, of course, occupying the National Assembly. You could see Peter Akah leading the chants there. Peter Akah was here on the show last week to speak about the same issue. And he's been at the forefront of calling for electoral reforms for a while now. And he's been championing and advocating for this, always saying our votes must count. That's been what he's been advocating for. We'll head to, I don't know if we should take a few comments on YouTube first. All right. I commend Peter Obi for his continuous support towards a stronger democracy. If this is what pretense looks like, I don't mind. He has been the center of conversation since he declared ambition, Ibisiki says. Thank you very much, Ibisiki, for that comment. And just to build up from where Ibisiki stopped, seeing Peter Obi there has a political relevance. Now, there are some who would argue that it is for political aesthetics and he's taking advantage. But the counter-argument would be, why can't the others do the same as well? Why can't the others, do the same thing for political aesthetics? Why can't they come out and show their support? Because at the end of the day, having the election transmitted in real time will benefit all those running for office, because what we'll see is there'll be less cases of court, everyone saying go to court, there'll be less cases of disagreements with the election results, because everyone can see, it's not a situation of INEC says, everyone can see that this is free, fair, and credible. But what Peter Obi is doing by virtue of being a part of this thing is that he's establishing himself as a strong opposition voice that aligns himself with the people. That's what he's been, that's what this is saying. There are those who would argue that, again, it is pretentious, but the response to that would be, everybody do your own pretense. Let His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar come out and pretend as well. Let Rotimi Amechi come out and pretend as well. These are some of the pushbacks that many would argue against. But the thing is, how much impact? Now, this gives some weight to the protest, because, of course, Peter Obi is not a small fish. He's no small figure in political conversation. So this will give some weight to the argument about the argument for the inclusion of real time in the clause. What we do not know, however, is how the National Assembly will react to this.
Anyway, the good news is, aside from Peter Obi, one thing I tried to highlight, I tried highlighting yesterday while looking at it. I mean, if you're going to write a story from a journalist point of view, you cannot but write about the politicians who were there. But another thing I appreciated is the fact that when you sometimes try to put a story together, if there's a way you can take away the politicians from the protest, and it is very key. And let me mention why I say so. Nigerians, even while having a conversation yesterday, it's about the people. It's about the people first. We've seen people try to, let's politicize this, do that. No. A few persons online yesterday had spoken. Omoyele Sowore had commended the people for coming out to protest. People, sadly, there was also a counter protest. You did have some people who wore the Peter Obi t-shirt and tried to join them, and they were found out. And they said, "Come, who are you? Where are you from?" And they couldn't answer. They were lost. And then all of a sudden, there was a scene where area boys had come in as well. Area boys, you saw them thugs. They were coming and so on, which is usually the trend and so on. But my point is, this is what we're saying. Whether we like it or not, we live in a country where the legislative must understand that they are there to carry out laws, to look at the laws and ensure that they do them accordingly to the Constitution. But when they start hobnobbing with the executive, this is what you get. And it's clear. And that's why Nigerians have trooped out. And today they're also going to be there. They said they will be there. Omoyele Sowore said he was going to join. A few other persons said they will join. And that is what is going to happen today. But like Benga also said, today is D-Day. Let's get to see what the Senate would do if they would decide to say, listen, we'll listen to the voice of the people, because the people are the ones who put us there. And we'll also listen to you people, because we are here to make laws for the people. It will show today. And Nigerians are patiently waiting.
That's what you say, Vox Dei, Vox Populi in
Vox-
Latin.
the voice of the people is the voice of God.
And I do agree with you that, the people's will should prevail. And politicians that actually go to protest, their values or their sentiments align with the people.
Exactly.
That's why they are
That's why I wanted
supporting. It's not because of...
That's why I
people might misconstrue it as
I slightly disagree.
but they align.
Don't get me wrong with politicians being there. I'm saying, first of all, it's the people. Don't call them politicians.
Okay.
So you know why?
The people first.
I agree.
Politicians should not
let me go
hijack
back. Let me shock you guys.
I don't know that politicians can hijack this thing. You know why? Because at
If
the
you
end of the
remember
day,
Occupy
Olive,
Nigeria
you
so many years ago, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
Thank you.
Pastor
2015.
Tunde
Benga.
Bakari, all of them hijacked
Were they not all
it.
there, Olive?
so what I'm saying is, politicians being a part of it is also for their benefit, because if all three of us were running for office and this is passed, where the reform is passed to reflect that results will be shown in real time, what that means is you, me, and Joe cannot argue with the results because we can see that it was translated in real time, transmitted in real time. So that way, I won't feel cheated if Joe wins. Joe won't feel cheated if you win, because you can say that CEO.
But then
it was
there's another
transmitted in real
argument
time.
to it that real-time transmission of election results, it would minimize cases of electoral fraud, but is it foolproof?
No, there's nothing that is foolproof. There's no. So insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
We'll get there.
If you have been doing transmission or
Transfer.
transfer
It's transfer.
for years, exactly, you've been doing transfer for years, and still, the last time people can generally argue that they can say that it was a credible election was in the 1990s. Then maybe it's time to try something else. If MKO Abiola is the most generally accepted free and fair election in Nigeria, June 12 election, and we're in 2026, then maybe it's time to try something new and go with the will of the people.
Okay.
So anyway, let's head to X. Nigerians have definitely shared their thoughts about it, and let's see what Nigerians are saying about it on X.
Comedian Koboko says, my vote must count. Senator Akpabio passed the bill. We want free and fair elections. That's what he says. Let's see if we can get more tweets. Nedu Annie says, Nedu Annie, okay, Annie, sounds very familiar, says, Peter Obi is leading the protest. Where is Malam Nasir El Rufai? Where's Atiku Abubakar? Where's Kwankwaso? Where's Chibuike Amechi? Where are other opposition voices? All right, moving on. Ben Kingsley Mwashara says, now that Peter Obi has stepped out to lead the protest, where are all those voices that kept demanding he should come out and lead one? Okay. All right. Dr. Yunusa Tanko, who was there with Peter Obi, says, enough is enough. The Nigerian people are demanding real-time transmission of results and comprehensive electoral reforms. Our votes must be protected, our results must be respected, and our elections must be free, fair, and transparent. We say no to glitches, no to rigging, and no to stolen mandates.
I'll come back to that.
Democracy belongs to the people, and the people's vote must count.
But one thing...
Let's take another one.
Let's take another.
Maurice Moyer says, not sure any APC member or supporter joined the protest today. Tells you all you need to know.
All right, so speaking about glitches, on YouTube, there are comments. Mokuye Chukwemeka says, I'm still asking, what caused the glitch in 2023? He also says, God bless everyone in the struggle for a better Nigeria. Peter Obi joining them was massive. Where are the others? Melvin Oreawo says, why are we coming behind in everything? Did you see South Africa and Ghana display their results transparently for everyone to see? It's disappointing that we can't transmit votes without delay. Since Mrs. Johnson. Anyway, these are the comments that we can read. Please keep more comments coming in and we'll continue to take them. But Lenin, I must take Lenin's comment. He says, what are they afraid of? These people have everything. More governors, senators, etc. So if they are doing well, they should pass the bill.
Absolutely. One more thing I wanted to point out before we move on to our next wake-up story is why the criticism in criticizing the 10th Assembly, they single out Senator Godswill Akpabio.
Because
I mean, he's first amongst equal. He's Senate President. Does not mean he has 109 votes. So
why they criticize him first? Because it's just like they are ministers. They are members of cabinet. They are other governors. But whenever people want to say anything is going wrong, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not the governor of the FCT. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not the one running the aviation sector.
So on easy lies the head.
Exactly. You are the one that carries the crown, right? And if you watch when it was passed, there were people who criticized the manner in which he said it. It was very hurried. It was very brief. And I just said, okay, all in favor of us sticking to the 2022, all in favor of transfer, say aye, the ayes have it back. Typically, for something that carries as much weight, many expected that it
shouldn't
would
even
be...
go to a voice vote.
Yeah.
I think why he's being criticized is because of the process it followed. One, there was a meeting on X, and the senators spoke. They had a committee. There was a committee that was formed to look
And they had agreed on something.
They had agreed on it. So that's why they are pointing fingers at the Senate president. They had agreed on it. Everything was passed, approved. They said 85% of the senators agreed. And when it now got to time for them to deliberate and pass into law,
It was not what I
that
ordered,
is when
it was what I
Senator
thought.
Mungoro said, please, they should change that transmission. And as a sitting Senate president, he didn't wait to feel the pulse of the people or possibly look at the document he had to say, is there any reason? They said there should have been a debate on it. Why are you asking for this? But that's not what we have here. Does anybody, any reason? But he said, okay, all who agree. And another thing we must highlight is the fact that if we take note, the seats were scanty. That house wasn't full. It was scanty. And I wonder, I think it's high time National Assembly or Senate have an agreement that when you want to discuss weightier matters, ensure that the house is at least 95%.
These are people that had vacation
full.
For how many days? They were
But
away.
what the Senate rule
Nobody's
says
talking
if you
about that.
have a quorum.
Yeah, we agree on that
yeah.
quorum. But when we're using quorum.
Things of national importance.
This is a national importance.
Again, I'm saying that if you
Of national
understand the
importance,
weight
rather.
that line carries, that singular provision carries, the weight it carries, because an election, the perception of the freeness and the fairness of an election go a long way to shape how people frame the democracy that any country runs. Our elections, until Nigerians can say we have a free, fair, and credible election, then our democracy will always be judged poorly. So if they saw the weight that it carried, our elections carried, and the weight that that particular reform has to carry when it comes to talking about our elections, then they would have treated it with a lot more care, a lot more
We'll see
attention.
that today. We're expecting a full house. We did see the transmission, the letter that was sent out to senators. It says of utmost importance that your presence will be needed there. And I believe Nigerians too have been calling their representatives and senators that, look, you better do what we want. So we should expect a full house today.
We should.
And it might also be very rowdy and contentious. So all eyes will be on the National Assembly.
I see a lot of closed door meetings. If you ask me, I mean, let's start looking at what may happen. What I think will happen is the committee, the Senate committee, sitting on electoral matters, would definitely have to speak up and say this is what we agreed.
And they speak with one voice.
Exactly.
Yes,
and if what they noticed was that the documents, the fear here is that the document they say was eventually circulated was not what they agreed on.
Similar to gazetted
exactly,
and
the gazetted and
non-gazetted.
non-gazetted story, the tax. Which one is the tax? Nigerians have shifted, though. When the tax starts now, we'll still not.
This whole thing
Can
is
you
not
imagine
hard.
that?
But why the
Till
10th
date,
Assembly? Why?
Nigerians
This is
cannot
the first time
download
in
the
this.
tax document.
You know what? This thing is not hard. The Senate is going to sit today. No wahala.
Anyway,
We're going to bring the
let's leave
update
that.
on that. At
Let's
the end
leave-
of the
let's
day,
wait.
today will be a huge determinant of how seriously they take or do not take Nigerians' requests. But let's move on to another conversation. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has described America's Christmas Day airstrikes on Islamic militants in northwest Nigeria as, quote-unquote, a blessing. She noted that the move signaled her husband's government's openness to further U.S. involvement in combating insurgency and criminal gangs. Speaking with Fox News Digital during a week-long visit to Washington, D.C., she said, and I quote, "The intervention of the U.S. was quite a welcome development. Nigeria is looking forward to collaboration. We are still expecting that there will be more." And there has been a flurry of interpretations about that. There are those who assume that she's saying that they're looking forward to more would mean that they're looking forward to more airstrikes. But it may not necessarily be more airstrikes. It may be that they're looking for...
More what?
Wait, are you looking at me like that?
No, I want you to land it so
More
I know whether
collabo-
you have fully joined the politicians or not. Because you want to start changing English for me. Like I did not go to school.
They're looking forward to more collaboration
Let's take a look
between
at
Nigeria and the US in fighting insecurity. But I don't know what it is. Head to YouTube. We're streaming live on News Central TV. Go and drop your comment of what you think the interpretation of this statement is. Let's take a look.
You know, at times, who would have, you know, you said President Trump recognized me. Who would have thought that would happen, to even say the least? So when you look at that, you know, I'm getting global recognition in all of it, you know, despite, and that is what life is all about. If something is going to be good, it will come from, you know, the rebels, you know, and it starts like that. And then we have that attention, we have the conversation going, and we expect, you know, there will be more, you know, it's going to yield a better fruit for us, and both for us and also America.
President Trump had words of praise for you this morning, but there are still some U.S. lawmakers that believe that there is as they call it, Christian genocide going on in Nigeria, and they've been critical of the government for not doing enough. What do you say to that argument? What do you tell them?
You know, we've been able to educate them more about the situation on ground. We live in Nigeria. We know that, you know, this is a democracy, and we are getting close to re-election, and there will be a lot of potholes of the beliefs they want the outside world to know. And we can see that with this government, we just out of a lot of economic crisis that we inherited, because this is the first time the government of Nigeria will remove fuel subsidy. We were producing oil, but we were not refining them. So now Nigeria, we have refined products, and we're not importing fuel like before. So our exchange rates are stabilizing. The country is moving forward. We're trying to make sure that insecurity we can tackle. And the president has even changed the service chiefs. You know, they've replaced them with new ones. So we're looking at reforms. In November, because of what is going on and the world concern about Nigerian Christians, the government, my husband declared a state of emergency on the 26th November 2026, and on insecurity. And by that, what did he do? He had to ask the police inspector general to recruit additional 50,000 police officers, and then the soldiers 24,000 officers, so that they can help in, you know, to secure insecurity. And not only that, there are 10,000 forest guards that were not carrying arms before. It said they should be armed so that they can secure the forest where all those terrorist groups, you know, take hiding, and so that, you know, and also the bandits and people that are, you know, killing for ransom or asking people, kidnapping for ransom rather. So those are the target. And also not only that, 11,566 police officers that were under VIP assignments have been recalled. So that, and they've been sent to all the hotspot areas in Nigeria, like Plateau State, Benue State, Taraba, and also other communities that they felt that they needed. So, and that's what, you know, has been happening. So we hear what the world is saying. We are concerned about our people's safety. Nigeria is a country that, you know, encourages freedom of religion, and which is entrenched in our constitution. And we're trying to make sure that even investors, when they come to Nigeria, because our, you know, economic growth is rising steadily, and then we want to make sure that, you know, we can do that. And there's so much work to be done. So we are not ready to blame past administration, because when Nigeria was in the boom age, we didn't really invest well. So, and this is what...
So a number of questions readily come to mind when you hear that interview. You know, there have been questions as to, one, in what capacity is she delivering the interview? Is she delivering the interview in an official capacity? What many would assume that given information about Nigeria's security status should be done by certain personnel who have been tasked with actually protecting Nigeria's...
those whose responsibilities.
Exactly. We have, there are a number of them that maybe should be able to have this kind of conversations. You know, the National Security Advisor, Chief of Defense Staff, there are a number of people within that
I mean,
capacity.
as a Nigerian citizen too, and who happens to also be the First Lady, she has the right to her opinion, and I don't think she was speaking officially on behalf of the government, but she was just airing her opinion and noting things that have happened in the last few months.
Yes, she's not just a Nigerian citizen.
So I guess the question is...
She's not just a regular Nigerian citizen.
It's from the interviewer, rather.
Right. So the moment you knew that you are granting an interview, you would understand that whatever you say will be interpreted as you speaking in an official capacity. It's just like when Bayo Onanuga tweets. People are asking, are you tweeting in the capacity of the special advisor to the president, or you are tweeting as Bayo Onanuga? So you must recognize that when you are in certain positions, anything you say will be interpreted as an official statement. And the question is, official statement in what capacity?
And it's already, I mean, if you follow the conversation on
Yes.
social media, so many people are interpreting it as, you know, government policy and official statements.
Exactly. And she, to the best of our knowledge, she does not have an official security title to be able to discuss these kind of conversations on the international scene. Now, there are those who have also looked at it from the perspective of the fact that she is, because of the genocide, the Christian genocide allegations that have been leveled against Nigeria. And of course, we're still seeing the calls are still getting stronger and stronger. There was also a report of her being refused a platform. Tony Perkins, I believe, said that he refused to grant her a platform, that she wanted to come and talk about what the position is. And when things like this come up, Nigerians, of course, give a side eye, a number of Nigerians, because you go back to hearing how the government tried to pay to lobbyists to be able to clean its image.
I mean, it's already,
when it comes to
the work is in process.
So are we more concerned about our perception or how the West perceives us, or are we concerned about protecting the lives of citizens? What is happening in Kwara State? There have been reports of people being bundled and burnt and killed. There's another report of them receiving another letter. People are fleeing their homes. People are going to bed in their houses, not certain, that they will wake up alive. And if they wake up, they're not certain they will sleep in their own homes. Nigerian citizens are becoming internally displaced persons. It's happening in Kwara. Are we more concerned about optics, or are we really concerned about dealing decisively with insecurity? These are some of the concerns that have been raised. But let's see what Nigerians are saying, and then we'll come back and share some thoughts here.
Sarcasm King says, asking Trump for more strikes in northern Nigeria while calling the Christmas Day bombing a blessing is certainly a strategy. It's bold to ask for foreign military to do deliverance on your own citizens. I'm sure the voters in the north will find this theology very comforting ahead of 2027. Interesting take there. Omotayo says, while the First Lady's praise for the Christmas Day bombings as blessings and her desire for more strikes on the Trump show proactive diplomacy is essential to consider the long-term effects on sovereignty and civilian safety in northern Nigeria. International supporters welcome, but sustainable peace requires addressing root causes like poverty and governance. This could be a game changer if handled carefully. I agree with the latter part of that tweet. Mr. Phillipson says, why can't we handle this internally? What is the reason for the heavy budget of the military if we can't defend ourselves, if you are outsourcing defense to America? Yeah, so there we have it. I mean, that's all. But just before we move on to other issues, I respectfully disagree with the First Lady of Nigeria saying that the Christmas Day bombings were blessings. Nobody, no country will be happy to see your sovereignty violated, albeit in the form of a partnership. And we saw the communication that came from President Donald Trump. Our sovereignty was violated, regardless of how you paint it. Because if you had done your homework in the first place, if they had stopped politicizing these killings and playing politics and lip service to insecurity, the United States will have no reason to bomb your country in the first place. So let's fix up and sit up and do what is necessary. I'm not very comfortable with other countries putting their hands
inside your own soup.
And our soup and our affairs. We're an independent country.
It's a lot. But let me just mention here that I think for me personally, I think the First Lady has the right to speak on all of the issues. The reason is because from the presidential point of view in communications, she'll be briefed before she traveled. She was briefed. And she was briefed because she was going on a tour. She went for the breakfast prayer. They had set up arrangements for her to be on different TV stations. One of them was the Washington Watch, which denied to grant her the opportunity. Fox had to do that. So she was briefed. So she had that prepared for her to speak. And again, she's the First Lady. There's nowhere that she enters that she will not be asked multiple questions about her country. It would be wrong for her to sit down. If she sits here, we're going to ask her all questions.
No, she went to the media houses. You will go to them, right? So
it depends. It depends.
You can decline.
So you have a lobbyist whose job is to clean up and arrange. So one of the things for PR is to arrange interviews as well, whether you go there or they come to you.
You know what? We'll deal with this conversation in detail much later
so there's
this
a lot.
morning.